In 2024, NHTSA opened a federal investigation into roof failures on RVs that were less than 3 years old. Not 10 years old, not 15, 3 years old. Units still under warranty. Units whose owners were still writing monthly checks to the bank. The investigation found something that the manufacturers already knew and had already buried in warranty language designed by lawyers, not engineers. The roofs were failing because of the materials chosen to build them, not because of weather, not because of owner neglect, because the two largest corporations controlling 80% of this industry made a deliberate decision to install the cheapest roofing material available and then write a warranty document that made sure you paid for the consequences instead of them. This is not an accident story. This is a business model. And while hundreds of thousands of American families are discovering water stains on their ceilings and bubbles forming on their sidewalls and repair quotes that exceed the resale value of their rigs, a smaller group already figured out the truth. The roofs on most new RVs are not built to last. They are built to fail on a schedule that lands just outside your warranty window. And the corporations running this industry designed it that way on purpose. Let me show you exactly how they did it. The material they chose, and the material they hid from you. Walk into any RV dealership in America right now. Find a salesperson. Ask them what your roof is made of. They will say one word, rubber, or maybe TPO, and they will say it like it answers your question. It does not answer your question. It is the beginning of the scam. EPDM rubber membrane is the dominant roofing material on new RVs today. Ethylene propylene diene monomer. It is the exact same material installed on the flat roofs of warehouses and big box retail stores. It costs manufacturers approximately 60 cents per square foot. On a 40-foot Class A motorhome, the entire roof membrane costs less than $300 in raw material. They are selling you a $300 roof on a $150,000 vehicle and calling it a feature. Here is what they never tell you at the point of sale. EPDM is not mechanically attached to your roof. It is glued. The adhesive holding your roof membrane to the structure beneath it begins breaking down the moment sunlight hits it. UV radiation attacks the bond chemistry from day one. In states like Arizona, Nevada, and Texas, where roof surface temperatures can exceed 170 degrees Fahrenheit in summer, that adhesive degrades in 3 to 4 years. Not 20 years, not 10 years, 3 to 4 years. The membrane does not rip open dramatically. It does not announce itself. It simply begins lifting at the seams, invisibly, silently, 1 millimeter at a time. And every time it rains, water finds that gap and runs directly onto the substrate beneath the membrane. You will not see this from the ground. You will not feel it from inside the RV. You will discover it when a soft spot appears in your ceiling, or when a wall starts bubbling, or when a repair technician tells you that the damage has already been spreading for 8 to 12 months. Translation: your rubber roof is not a roof. It is a $300 membrane on a countdown clock, installed by workers paid to move fast, bonded with adhesive engineered to fail on a schedule that protects the manufacturer and destroys your investment. TPO, the upgrade that is not an upgrade. Some manufacturers will tell you their units have TPO roofing instead of EPDM and will present this as a premium feature. Thermoplastic polyolefin, white surface, better heat reflection, modern material. What they will not tell you is that TPO has a failure mode that EPDM does not have, and it is worse. TPO seams are heat welded during installation. When a trained technician with proper equipment welds a TPO seam correctly, it creates a bond stronger than the material itself. But RV factories do not operate with trained technicians working at a careful pace. They operate on piece rate, PE. Workers are paid per unit completed, not per hour worked. Speed is the only metric that matters to the worker's paycheck. If stopping to verify a weld takes an extra 4 minutes, that worker does not stop to verify the weld. A properly welded TPO seam and an improperly welded TPO seam look identical from the outside. You cannot see the difference. You cannot feel the difference. The only way to identify a failed weld is with a seam probe tool that no manufacturer runs on every unit before it ships off the line. So what happens to an improperly welded TPO seam when your rig is traveling at 70 miles per hour down an interstate and the roof is flexing from wind turbulence? The seam separates, not completely, not dramatically, just enough to create a pathway, and water finds every pathway. In 2023, One major manufacturer issued a recall covering over 12,000 units for TPO seam failures that were creating water intrusion pathways on vehicles less than 18 months old. 18 months, the recall language described it as a manufacturing process variation. That is the corporate phrase for, "We did not weld it correctly because the guy doing it was trying to finish his station in 3 minutes instead of 6. Translation: the premium roofing upgrade they charged you for is only as good as the weld applied by a worker watching the clock, and the clock always won. What they buried underneath the membrane is half the problem. The substrate beneath it is the other half, and the substrate is where the real money is lost. The structural deck underneath your roof membrane on virtually every new RV built after 2005 is Luon plywood, a thin tropical hardwood panel, inexpensive, lightweight, fast to install, and completely, chemically, catastrophically unable to survive contact with water. Luon does not resist moisture. It absorbs it. The moment water breaches the membrane and reaches the Luon deck, absorption begins immediately. The wood fibers swell, the panel begins separating internally. The structural integrity of your roof deck starts collapsing from the inside, while the outside still looks completely normal. This process is invisible. You are staring at a smooth white membrane surface, while directly beneath it, the structure that holds your roof together is rotting in real time. The first visible sign you will see is a soft spot when you walk on the roof, or a bubble forming on the exterior sidewall where water has traveled down from the roof deck into the wall panel. At that point, the Luon has already lost the majority of its structural strength. You are not fixing a leak. You are replacing a roof deck. The repair cost on a Class A motorhome for a full roof deck replacement runs between $12,000 and $20,000. When you add labor and materials, on a unit you financed 2 or 3 years ago, on a unit that still has 60 months of payments left, now here is the part where the scam becomes undeniable. Pick up your RV warranty document right now and find the water damage exclusion. It is in there, every single one of them has it. Water damage is classified as a maintenance issue. Maintenance issues are excluded from warranty coverage. The manufacturer's legal position is that you were required to inspect and reseal your roof annually. And if water entered the structure, the fault is yours for failing to maintain it. They engineered a roof that fails in 3 to 5 years. They installed it with workers paid to go fast. They wrote a warranty that excludes the exact failure mode they knew would happen. And then they built annual resealing into the maintenance schedule so they could point to the document when you come back angry. That is not a warranty. That is a legal shield built from paper. Translation: the roof deck under your membrane was designed to absorb water and die. The warranty was designed to make sure you absorb the cost and shut up. The factory floor, where the roof failure begins. To understand why this keeps happening across every brand, every model year, every price point, you need to understand what the factory floor actually looks like. Thor Industries and Forest River together control over 80% of the American RV market. Every brand you recognize, Keystone, Heartland, Grand Design, Jacko, Coachman, Fleetwood, all of them are subsidiaries writing quarterly earnings reports back to 2 parent corporations focused on volume and margin. The compensation model driving every factory in Elkhart County, Indiana, is piece, rate, pay. Workers receive a base wage below market rate with bonuses tied to unit production quotas. Hit your number and you go home. Miss your number and you lose money. Every minute spent double-checking a sealant bead is a minute not spent finishing your station. Every worker who slows down for quality is a worker whose paycheck shrinks. The result is forensic and consistent across manufacturers. NHTSA recall data shows the same categories of failure repeating year after year. Improper sealant application, incomplete membrane adhesion, roof accessories mounted to substrates with no structural integrity, components installed backward or upside down. These are not supply chain problems. They are not defective materials arriving from outside vendors. They are human assembly errors made by workers who were incentivized to finish fast and penalized for finishing carefully. The corporations running these factories know exactly why this is happening. The recall data makes it impossible to pretend otherwise. They have chosen to absorb the recall costs rather than change the compensation model because the math works in their favor. The warranty language protects them. The maintenance requirements transfer liability to you, and there is always another buyer walking onto the lot. Translation: Your roof was installed by someone who was paid to go fast. The corporation that employed them wrote a document to make sure you pay for what happens when fast is not good enough, what actually survives, and why. Follow the evidence long enough, and the answer becomes consistent. One-piece fiberglass roofs do not fail this way. Not because fiberglass is a miracle material, because a one-piece molded fiberglass shell has no seams, no glued membrane, no heat-welded joints, no adhesive chemistry degrading under UV radiation. There is no gap for water to find because there is no seam. The roof is one continuous piece from front to back. This is the construction method used on older Monaco coaches, on pre-acquisition Tiffin motorhomes, on country coach units built in Junction City, Oregon before the factory closed, on Coach House Platinum models built today in Nokomis, Florida, on Bigfoot trailers built in Canada with fiberglass composite construction. These units exist. Some of them are 20 years old and their roofs are not failing. Not because their owners got lucky, because the engineering choice made at the factory gave water nowhere to enter. The pre-2009 Monaco Dynasty, the Tiffin Allegro bus from 2018. Built while Bob Tiffin was still personally picking up the phone to authorize warranty repairs. These are not nostalgia picks. These are engineering decisions that prioritize the owner over the quarterly report. You can buy a 2003 one-piece fiberglass coach for $20,000 to $30,000. Hire a certified NRVIA inspector for $400. Budget another $1,000 for sealant renewal and fitting inspection. You were in a roof that was built to resist water for $30,000 total. Instead of financing a rubber membrane designed to fail for $150,000, the math is not close. The buying strategy that actually works, the approach is the same one that works across every category of this industry. Stop shopping at the dealership. Start thinking like an auditor. Target units built before 2008 with one-piece fiberglass or aluminum skin construction, Monaco, Newmar, Country Coach, Tiffin Preed 2020, Coach House, Bigfoot. Get the inspection before you negotiate price. A moisture meter reading above 20% anywhere in the ceiling or upper wall section means water has already been inside the structure. That is not a negotiation point. That is a walk away. Ask for documented roof maintenance history. Owners who maintained the roof kept records. Owners who deferred maintenance left you a repair schedule disguised as a purchase price. Avoid anything with visible membrane lifting, chalking, or sealant cracking at penetration points. These are not cosmetic issues. They are the visible evidence of water that has already been inside your structure. The inspection might kill the deal. That is not a failure. That is the inspection doing exactly what you paid it to do. The truth they need you to never learn. The RV industry has built a system where the product fails. The warranty excludes the failure, and the buyer absorbs the cost. The roofing material at the center of this system was chosen in a spreadsheet. It was installed on an assembly line optimized for speed, and it was covered by warranty language optimized for corporate protection. 500 recalls from one manufacturer in 1 decade. Class action lawsuits over roofs on 3-year-old units. Federal investigations into failures on vehicles still under warranty. This is not bad luck. This is not an industry having a rough patch. This is the predictable output of a business model that decided the customer's money was worth more than the customer's roof. The rigs that survived 20 years already proved they could survive. You are not buying old because you love history. You are buying old because the engineering decisions made before the private equity takeover were made by people who still thought the product had to work. That is not sentiment. That is math. Because the only thing that changes this industry is enough people refusing to buy the product designed to fail them. Sunlight is the only warranty that has never been written by a lawyer.